By virtue of the fact that you capture photographic images, you're probably a somewhat visual person, perhaps an entirely visual person, and so you can imagine that if you were looking for a particular photo, a quick visual scan wouldn't be all that difficult. For example, if I were looking for a shot I have in mind, a hazy photo captured along the Danube River in Budapest, Hungary, I can envision that image in my mind, and as I scroll down my list of photos, in this case all photos within my catalog, it takes me no time at all as soon as I see that photo to identify it as the image I was thinking of. But beyond using your own eyes, you can actually take advantage of the Elements Organizer to perform a visual search. I'll get started by choosing a particular image that I want to use as the basis of a visual search. I want to find images that contain the same object or contain the same colors, for example. So with that image selected, in this case a horse on a carousel at an amusement park, I'll go to the Find menu and then I'll choose the By Visual Searches option. From the submenu, I'm going to choose Visually Similar Photos and Videos, and that will cause the Elements Organizer to search among my images and rank them based on how similar it thinks certain photos are. You can see, for example, that the other images of the same horse on the same carousel are ranked as being very similar. They have a 74% similarity rating. Moving to the next image, it's not very similar at all at first glance, but then we realize there are some similar colors. You'll notice the brown tones are similar to those in the background of the carousel. Some of the skin tones certainly get relatively close to some of the pinker values in the photo of the carousel horse, so you can see that there's some similarity. Moving further over, we'll see a pink shirt, for example, and some greens and other colors that also appear within the photos of the horses. But we can refine this search a little bit by moving the slider between color and shape. In other words, are we trying to identify photos based on their color similarity or based on their shape similarity? And you'll notice as I move the slider one way or the other, I'll get a very different ranking of photos. Certain images are more similar based on color, and certain images are more similar based on the overall shapes found within the photos. If we're just generally looking for particular colors in a photo, for example, I might move that slider a little closer toward color, and then I might use a different photo to supplement the search. For example, if I'm really looking for those pinkish tones, the shirt here really works well. I can click and drag this image up to the Find bar and add it as an additional image being used for that search criteria. So now we have images of both the carnival swing ride as well as the carousel horse ranking as the top results, and then of course other images with somewhat similar colors will be ranked relatively high as well. In addition to this option, we can find specific objects in a photo. I'll return to All Media, and then I'll scroll down to find a particular image that I want to use as the basis of an object search. In this case, obviously, a well-defined object, but with this image selected, I'll go to the Find menu, and then I'll choose By Visual Searches once again, but this time I'll choose Objects Appearing in Photos. That will bring up my image with a box where I can identify the particular subject I'm looking for. I'll go ahead and drag to move the box, and then I'll drag a corner to resize the box, and I'll include most of the Statue of Liberty in this selection. Once I've created that box to identify the Statue of Liberty, I'll click on the Search Object button, and that will cause the Elements Organizer to search for images based on that object. And you can see, of course, that images that contain the Statue of Liberty are at the top of the ranking. You might find it odd, though, that a flowering tree is also included relatively high in the search results. But once again, we have the option to adjust the search based on color or shape. And so if I move the slider over toward the left, I'm focusing on colors, and of course the blue sky with the tree very closely matches the blue sky in my original photo. If I instead move that slider over toward shape, we'll find that the top search results are going to be those that contain the Statue of Liberty. We still get some outliers. For example, this bridge photo kind of sort of resembles the Statue of Liberty, and there is some similarity with this boat, but of course the organizer was a little bit confused by some of the shapes and colors, but it did find those Statue of Liberty photos for us rather well. So we have a good selection of Statue of Liberty images that are at the top of those search results, and other images that have some similar elements are found also somewhat high in the search results, but not quite as high as those that do indeed contain the Statue of Liberty. Once again, I could use other images to try to help improve the results. For example, taking another image of the Statue of Liberty and adding that to the search criteria, and that should help to improve the overall results for my photos. And once again, I can move that slider between color versus shape in an effort to try to find just the images I'm looking for. So there are two options for visual searches that can make it very easy to find photos that are similar to a particular image you've selected, whether based on overall color or specific objects within the photo.